Dr. Lori Baudino, and I'm here today doing collaborative check-ins with Dr. Janelle. And Dr. Janelle is not only a chiropractor, but also a psychic medium and works with a full range of wellness and opportunities for us to soak up today. So Dr. Janelle, thanks for being here and talking with me.
Thanks for having me, Dr. Lori.
So I'm just so curious to share all the different avenues that you work with, new ventures you're doing, and what you've been doing up till now.
So I'm an Aquarius, so I usually have a lot going on. I'm a chiropractor and I'm also a psychic medium. Over the last few years, I've been more and more public about combining all the work I do with people, with their physical bodies, with their energetic bodies, with their future selves, and just their overall energy, and how do we live our best lives. You know, people used to know me in one sector. I would be doing readings over here, I would be working on bodies over here, and it's just been so much fun to bring all my gifts together. And also, people are waking up. People want more from their providers, and they want to know about their deep soul. They want to know about their soul, their purpose, and how to incorporate things into their life. So I've been growing with my client that way as well.
Absolutely. And I had the opportunity to work with you as well and have my reading done. And something that I truly value in getting to know you is just how much the body gives us information, and how, as you're bringing in your gifts, you can apply what you say to my own work and further help other people. So one of the things about these collaborative check-ins is this opportunity for all these different experts to come together and share what we do, so that those listening can say, oh my gosh, these things exist and I want to go through that, or I want to receive that. What areas do you think, when someone like myself or other adults, we've got parents out there, educators, providers, as you mentioned, during this time, like this pandemic and all the things that are going on in our world, what are some areas that individuals are talking to you about or asking for support?
One of the themes 2020, like spiritually, that's been coming through a lot, and in the collective readings I do and in a personal way when I just check in with spirit, is like 2020 has been a year of not just purging, but of great values and of really anchoring in. And I feel like, I know for myself even, it's up to 2020 has been kind of like, we've wanted to do a lot of things. It's been a lot of things on the plate, or a lot of things like kind of up in the air. And 2020 is making us really pivot. It's a really big pivot. It's finding out what's important to you, what are your values, what works, what doesn't work. And it's never been this obvious. It's never been this obvious. And so one of the things that come through with the spirit messages just for the whole planet is that this is a huge upgrade. However we want to look at it, this is a huge upgrade for humanity. And this is a huge upgrade in the systems we want to see move forward, the families and communities we want to create, and the lives we really want to create, and everything else is just purging out what doesn't serve us. One of the things I work on with people in their bodies is that concept of resilience. And that was something that drew me into chiropractic and just more of a vitalistic approach to life with my own health journey. And I think, like, for myself, it can be easy to be hypervigilant, to want to take all the right supplements and do all the right things and be on top of it. But really what the gift of chiropractic for me and what I want to give to others is resilience. The idea that a pathogen could come in, or, your whole world can come crumbling apart. But if you really are adaptive, you can take on life and not be fearful of what's going to happen.
I asked you how you came into this work, because, over the years, there are the, naysayers, or like, what's that really about? And I'm so excited because science, the closer people get to understanding science, I'd say the closer they get to understanding energy and healing and this holistic approach, because we're all saying the same thing.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. In case someone didn't know that, they all come together. So is that your experience of it? Like, it's always been together for you, or how did you find it?
It's always been noticeable and together for me. When I was a child, I was born with my psychic gifts, and I just thought that everyone should have them. Everyone has them. Everyone communicates this way. And so as I grew older, I realized, oh, not everyone communicates this way. Not everyone is telepathic. Not everyone is emotionally tapped in. Not everyone sees in energy or through different dimensions. And so it became very confusing for me, and I wanted to blend in and be just like everyone else. And so I had this really deep reawakening. I went to Pepperdine University for undergrad, and living there and moving there, Malibu is an energy vortex, and what happened is I just started being more grounded in nature and eating healthier. And I had personally suffered from migraines, and that's where kind of the psychic and chiropractic came in. I mean, to the point where I was on anti-seizures and get out of bed for days sometimes. And I was just like, I don't think my whole life can be like this way. I'm like, I'm young. I don't know if I could actually live this way my whole life. And I didn't really relate it to the psychic thing. I just, was like, I just want to get ahead. I just want to be okay and blend in and keep my head down and work hard. And so, being in Malibu, it was just such an awakening. And so I had a kind of like a Shakti experience. I had this like deep awakening where it turned into a complete panic attack. And I'm like going down PCH and I'm in the aid car and I'm hyperventilating and I'm going to Santa Monica ER and I hear my guide, my angel go, hey, so, you can make this really easy or you can make this really hard.
Wow. Okay. Yes.
I was like, what do you mean? And they were just like, it was like my guides were speaking really loud, like, you can do this work like healthy and integrated and like living your life, or you can do this work completely broken, but either way, it's going to come through. And so at that moment, I said, I just surrendered to like the universe and to God. And I was like, you know what? I will do this. I don't know what this looks like. I don't know really any other psychic people that live normal lives. Like I don't know, but I'm committed to discovering what this is and bringing it to earth in a way that would be, my gift. And so that's really was the pivot point for me. And then I just dove into research, dove into yoga, learned about chiropractic, and then had these amazing healers and people work on me and the migraines going away. And, I was a C-section baby, so all the things that come along with that. And so that's what opened up the whole thing for me. And then it just kept going.
I was wondering about your abilities. Is it something that you hear? I know sometimes people talk about seeing it versus feeling it in the body. I know I talk to you about like feeling senses in my eyes or in my gut, my visceral feeling I get in the body.
My primary gift is audio-visual. I see and I hear, and that's kind of how I experience energy first. And then when I went to chiropractic school and got more into the body work, I started to have to learn how to translate those gifts into feeling and using my hands to feel and feeling energy. And what I find in working with people, we usually all have one of the clairvoyance or clairaudience gifts, or one of the other clairs, clairnascient. Some people smell energy. There's all these different ways of working with energy, and learning your primary gift and then adding and like learning how to translate that through other sensories is really where I work with people a lot, because a lot of people say, well, I only get a gut feeling. I'm like, if we can make that into a word, then that's your power. Like that's how you're picking up stuff. So you can grow your psychic gift. I think that's the thing a lot of people don't realize too, is you can grow these gifts. They just like exercising, like, you can grow them.
I think it's so empowering and so important, because especially during this time, always just to know like where is this information coming from and how resilient, as you mentioned before, how resilient our bodies are and our sensory system give us these messages. We just need to listen to it, and be awake to it.
Yeah, and just letting, I guess, the playful, just the trust we can have in our bodies, our senses, with ourselves, and growing that is always just part of our human journey. And so there's so many ways we can do that, and I think it's really beautiful. And I think, as a psychic, people don't always think about their psychic gifts. They don't always think about psychic clutter or the people around them. And it's something that I think I've had to focus on and bring people's awareness to, like, hey, like, not just your thoughts, but like what's around you. What are you pulling in? What are you seeing? There can be a lot of debris, around that as well.
Yeah, like what choices you're making in your
yeah, and I think probably when you work with people, you see their traumas, and it's interesting to see what that looks like from an energetic standpoint as well. I know people do a lot of brain scans, like, I'll see someone, maybe their spine is beat up, or there's arthritis, or there's structural problems, but it's all one continuum. It's kind of like where we jump in on the continuum, and what's going to be the thing that pivots that story if we really want to get better, if we really want to release these things.
sure you want to talk about the other program.
So I do a lot of coaching and a lot of readings, energy readings, Reiki, long distance energy healings, which is really come in handy for 2020. So I work with people and distance view them from my home. I do some crystal therapies. I brought crystals today. I do some crystal therapy as well, but you know, taking like this model of energetic hygiene and integrative care and bringing it to different groups has really been my passion now. I started a company called Sacred Medicine Mamas. I'm a co-founder in that company. My partner is Marjorie Lynn. She's a functional medicine nutritionist. And what our passion really is taking families and people that give birth and working with them at these critical stages with nutrition, exercise, affirmations, and like getting them through. You know, people think you have kids, so you probably know this and you work with families, but people think of pregnancy as 9 months, and it's really like, you know, years before and sometimes years after of really healing the body and bringing that vitality back. And so she's a mom, and I work with families, and it's just been really fun to bring awareness to people.
Well, I love that. I'm sure you've been thinking about this as well. Oftentimes in the work that I look at in terms of body, there's these beautiful rhythms and timing, these qualities of what I look at as movement that show up during pregnancy. And then as the baby comes into the world, into your actual hands, this still mirrors that same pattern. And if we are aware of it, and like you said, like not just seeing it as 9 months and then it's over, and then a new, a whole nother story starts. If we see it as a continual story, we actually know these babies way more than we think. And I tend to work with parents and help them find things to be predictable, because I feel like when things are a shock, that's when we feel like things are stressful or it's unpredictable, it feels like threatening. Instead, when we start to say, oh, this is my child's story, this is how they came into the world, and this is how my body responded to it, this is my relationship, there's so many wonderful opportunities because you're coming from a place of connection, like you're coming from that really connected place.
I love that. That's beautiful.
And it's incredible. I love asking. That's one of my first intake questions is, how was your child born? Tell me the story. I want to know, because they come into this world with a story, and you're adding this piece of like there's even stories before that story that we can learn about, and stories. That's fantastic. Well, how can families learn more about you and reach out to you?
People can learn about me lots of different ways. So I have a website. It's drjanellechiro.com. And if you go there, it's going to have all the companies. It's going to have Sacred Medicine Mamas. I have a company called Anatomy Apothecary, and that's really where I teach people what I call body alchemy. And so alchemy, is the idea of turning lead into gold, or turning, elements into something really precious. And so that was something that Spirit gave to me to teach people about their bodies. Like, just because you're here doesn't mean that you can't transform to here. And so anatomy is really where you can work with me, energy healing, readings, coaching, anything if you're at a crossroads in your life, that's really where we can put it all together and create a plan that's good for you. I have some new projects coming down the pipeline. So if you go to drjanellechiro.com, that will show everything that I'm doing. You can follow me on social media and email me from there as well.
So wonderful. I love this idea of alchemy and putting it all together, and that we have so many ways to feel our best selves. It's fantastic. I'm excited to check it out too. So before we jump off, I was just wondering if there was any takeaway for myself, for the audience.
Yeah, I would just take away, it's really going to be important to build a team. I think that, the other gift of 2020, and probably things we've been looking for in community, is that don't be afraid to work with different experts. Don't be afraid to ask a lot of questions. Build your team. And really that's part of your body intuition as well, is having the resources to know who to go to, what questions to ask, having enough people so that when you are in that crisis or you do need help, that it's right there for you.
I absolutely agree, and I'm so excited because I now see us as a team too. Just that instead of being that I out there on the internet and on social media, that we can all be working together and collaborating.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
And
I love referring out and sharing people, I think you too as a practitioner, it's we like to do our thing, but we also know,
everybody working together. There's real power. there's so much we can all support.
Yeah, there's so much we can do together, and we're stronger together, and it's really beautiful. And that's really what building the Age of Aquarius and the future energy is going to be about.
Well, thank you, Dr. Janelle. It's been so wonderful chatting with you.
You as well.